just, if you'd be happy, just to introduce yourself and the work that you've been doing with CIMSPA to work with stakeholders to understand the needs of our workforce and our emerging workforce needs.
Yeah,
And then if you could just replay the key findings and the strategy, I'd be grateful. And then we'll take some questions, and if anybody's got any questions as we go along, we'll pop that in the chat. Thank you.
wonderful. Shall I give it a minute while everyone's joining?
Yeah, yeah. That's great.
All right. So my name's Danny, and my job title is Workforce Development Manager at CIMSPA. So I now look after the Northwest. So very busy getting local skills accountability boards together. Now I don't know if any of you know anything about the local skills work. So I'll give you a very quick sort of short explanation. Basically, I'm put there's multiple of me right across the country, and we are put in a local area to create a board. And what that does is it gets the experts in the area around a table to discuss skills needs. And that can be variety of different stakeholders. It can be employers, education, Chamber of Commerce. It can be such a mixture, and it's obviously with the help of the active partnership as well, who those experts are around that table, but also some people that are actually outside of our sector also contribute to those boards also. And what we do, we put together a local skills plan, and they've been averagely taken probably about 18 months to get in the first wave of this putting these skills plans together. It's probably taken approximately 18 months. Now, we've got a little bit of a push at the moment to try and get these skills plans out, because the LSIP, Local Skills Improvement Plans, are currently under review, which are obviously produced by the Chamber of Commerce, and usually in partnership with the combined authority and local authority, depending on the area. Now, because of that, we ideally want our local skills plan for the sport and physical activity sector through very, very quickly to match the review of the LSIP 2.0s. Because basically,
Danny,
yeah,
I'm just thinking for colleagues who perhaps might not understand the role of LSIP and
yeah,
how that fits in with the work of the Lancashire Skills Board and the
yeah.
Employment Hub. Could you just paint that picture a little bit, more clearly so that people can see how this piece of work fits into and informs that? Thank you.
Yeah, so basically how it's different in each area. So we've got the LSIPs that obviously they work together in each area, in each county, decide what the priorities are for the area. And that's why quite often you get the combined authority linked with the chambers to understand what they are deciding is priority. And quite often it's STEM subjects that are the focus, which if you've got obviously got your engineering and everything else, that is generally quite a focus. Sport and physical activity, and not always addressed. Quite often health is connected in those, but quite often we have not really been contained within them as a priority area, because it's really hard to put a value on our workforce and what's needed. And that's why quite a lot of work's gone in with the Sport England social value reports, and obviously what we bring to lots of other sectors, not just our own. So with those LSIPs, we obviously would be very much like to be in those LSIPs, which are local skills improvements plans, because they quite often determine the funding in the area and how it's allocated. So we obviously are in a much stronger position than we were 2 years ago to be considered, because of our work already with the chambers that have just recently, over the past 2 years, but also understanding what the needs of the chambers are when we're putting a plan together. Very much so with the Liverpool Chamber, when we're working together with them at the moment, actually some of the expertise is actually we need artificial intelligence and the consideration of that in our sector. And that is actually obviously affecting lots of other sectors also, and that makes us think in a much more forward-thinking terms than maybe we have done before. So that's very much me going around the universities, understanding what the AI needs are, how they're exploring what our sector's going to look like in a few years. But also there's lots of other considerations on how we can sort of be seen as important in the LSIPs, because absenteeism is another area of work. We save billions in so many ways in keeping people in the workplace. So we are a very valuable sector, and we're understood to be, but it's obviously the chambers are juggling lots of other priority sectors also, and the infrastructure in the area and so many other things to consider. So we see our sector as so important, don't we? And it's extreme, and we're sort of very tunnel vision sometimes of what we need to be doing. But actually working with the chambers recently is how we actually look outside of our sector and engage with other areas and businesses and so on. We're not just seen as sport and physical activity, we're seen as that support network keeping businesses in operation. So
forgive me if I may, Danny. So what you've just said there is that this plan works on two levels. Firstly, it's feeding into the ask from national government, which will mean that any funding that's available for skills development within our sector, this articulates what the priorities are, and that ask in terms of quantifying that, we can then make that through the Chambers of Commerce as part of the LSIP plan for that government money. But it also articulates where our skills and our contribution also support the delivery of improved productivity in Lancashire. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah, improved productivity. And as I say, it's our job is really to, in this piece of work, as well as us collecting data on our sector, it's also supporting the chamber in collecting data on our sector also. So that's very much why, because every chamber collects data in different ways, which I've just found out recently. So I will be working with chambers differently with supporting that. But also we've got access to the employers, which is great that we can obviously give to support the chamber with, in terms of questionnaires. So you'll probably see me very soon pushing out survey links to the chamber surveys and meetings and supporting all the chambers of commerce to get data on our sector, because they obviously do deep dive interviews and things like that. So that helps support them. Our skills plan was really important because it actually starts to make us have more direction of travel. Not all of our skills plan requires funding. A lot of the time, it's just actually conversations and streamlining things that are already in place and supporting that. I think sometimes it can be looked at as a way of just collecting funding, but actually it's understanding duplicated areas of work that are duplicated in Lancashire, or things that we're already doing. We might already be networking in college school groups, employers are already networking in those areas, but actually other elements of work might be missed, or it might be being already done and duplicated. So it's just trying to streamline those networks and trying the more areas I cover, the more duplication I tend to see. And I think we've hopefully cut down a little bit on that, by just getting networks communicating more. Now I've got some headline. So basically the Lancashire Skills Plan, just to give you an update, the Lancashire Skills Plan is complete, and it is already under embargo, which basically means can't be shown before it's published. Now, there are 4 skills plans coming through at CIMSPA at the moment, so they're staggering when they're being released so that they're not all released at the same time, so everybody gets their time to show off their plan, if you like. So we're probably looking at, there's another plan being released before ours, and I think ours will probably look towards, I don't want to commit to a date and give false information, but I think we'll probably look towards the end of November. Now, what will happen with that, which I'll show you the headlines of our skills plan now, so you can have a little look. But our release date, will be communicated to Adrian, especially because he sits on the Local Skills Accountability Board. And once we have that date in place, I'll be communicating that all with everybody of my networks to let you know that will be shown to lots of different representatives in Lancashire. It will be employers, educators, Chamber of Commerce, LinkedIn, you name it. We will all be sharing that skills plan on the same day at the same time, and that'll be communicated out to everybody so you know when to anticipate it. Now, I'm just going to show you, as I say, because I can't show you the actual, unfortunately, I really wanted to be able to show it today. But unfortunately, because, as I say, there's been a delay on them all being shown. I'm just going to, we might not go on. There's professional status I was going to talk about, but I can miss that out if we need to. I just wanted to show you the headline recommendations that have come out from the Local Skills Board. So these will be our headline recommendations within the Local Skills Plan. So we've got create development opportunities, enhance collaboration between stakeholders, and boost impact on communities are our 3 recommendations. Now, the create development opportunities is create development opportunities that are fit for purpose to upskill a diverse workforce to professional standards and support professionals throughout their career. Enhanced collaboration between stakeholders is enhanced collaboration between education providers, employers and CIMSPA while exploring new opportunities beyond the sector. And then boost impact on communities. So create opportunities for the sector to positively impact the health of our local communities and boost economic prosperity. So these will be as decided by the Local Skills Accountability Board, these will be our 3 focused recommendations. Now, it's important to know, I'll just stop sharing those. It's important to know that this is a movable document. So if this is released and you actually think, oh, I'd like that, there's an area of that there'll be a document released on that in the future, and they should really include that. And you can communicate with us at any time, and we will be making notes of things like that. And we can, the plan is a movable document, and we will be reviewing it every year to make sure that the document's as up to date as possible. Do you want me to mention anything else, Adrian, on?
Could you just outline to colleagues on the call who's actually part of the group which has pulled together the skills plan? Thank you.
So, no worries. Let's just come out of this presentation. Also, the main thing that I was going to mention to you all as well is that this document, you will have a live link that'll take you right to the Lancashire page on CIMSPA's website, and there will be a data pack that'll be available to you all on there, and there will also be a business diagnostic data pack as well that will be really useful for you all to access, and everybody can access these documents as and when you see fit. So let me just find the Lancashire members. Got this on the document at the front.
Okay. So just while Danny's finding that, Danny, we've had this standing group, haven't we now, for, gosh, over a year now, haven't we? And they've been meeting through a series of workshops to identify the needs of the sector and to determine what the priorities of the skills plan should look like. So this is a co-production piece.
And this should hopefully, I'm hoping that when I post this in the chat, this will give you the links to where their websites are as well.
Brilliant.
I'm hoping. There you go. I'm hoping that works.
Excellent. So you can see the the organisations where colleagues have been representing, the interests of the sector in this working group. Thanks, Danny. So you've outlined, Danny, the three headlines of the skills plan. Are there any further levels of details that you can share at this moment in time publicly?
Yeah, so if I can, I'll show you. This version of the document was before it's gone through edit. So let me just share this. I was going to mention as well to yourself, Adrian, as well, but I don't know whether it's relevant for now, and I don't know what your agenda obviously is covering, but professional status has just launched as well in September with CIMSPA as well. So if you do want me to do any information on that in a present, at this one or the next one or anything, so everybody's up to date, just obviously let me know. Now I'm just going to, what I'll do is, share. See this. So this is the detail that we will go into in the master document. So there's 4 themes which will be recruit, train, support and retain. So there's 4 areas. Now, with each, we've got right across the country, we are tracking nationally what the skills plans are saying, and obviously locally. And there are, as you'd expect, a lot of trends that are very similar. So what happens is we have the headline recommendation, and they have an action underneath that, what success looks like and how it will be measured. Now, this sort of helps shows you a little bit more on a granular way of how your plan will look for the area. Now we've got, as I say, we've got 3 recommendations at the moment for Lancashire. So very much better connect high quality education providers and sector employers and professionals to ensure that training is accessible and relevant. So how these actions and recommendations came up was basically from the Local Skills Accountability Board sitting and digesting obviously data that was presented to them from my findings. Now the recommendation 2, I'll let you have a little digest of. Don't know if give me a bit of a shout if you can't see that very well, because I know sometimes on a screen it's not great.
Danny, just to bring that second one to life there, to improve local sector communication channels to facilitate dialogue between education providers, employers and CIMSPA. Is there going to be a new hub that's set up to support that?
So that will be the Local Skills Accountability Board group will decide whether they go out. So a record of partnerships and networks related to the sport and physical activity workforce was the first concern with the piece of work in Lancashire, because there was quite a lot of duplication, which is everywhere. It's not just Lancashire specific. So firstly, the board wanted to know and collate that data first to see what networks have already taken place, and then obviously adjust those communication channels so we've got them working efficiently and not in areas of duplication. So I don't, whether it'll be one set up or whether they'll just collect and coordinate ones that have already taken place is a thought process.
Okay, great. All right, so we'll wait to hear from the Local Skills Accountability Board about that. Yeah, that's really helpful. Okay. Colleagues on the call are really focused on the engagement with health and the skills development from the sector to facilitate us delivering that extended wellbeing offer. There was a lot of discussion when this plan was coming together, Danny, around that. How are those priorities actually reflected in the final version?
Of the plan.
Yes, of the
So
plan.
there's professional status. This is kind of why I was wondering whether to sort of mention the professional status side to some of this work, because there's been a massive piece of work. I don't know if you're all aware of some of the work that CIMSPA doing with the work that CIMSPA's doing with the health sector. But connected to this plan already in the background was professional status. And what some of our areas of focus have been is that the health sector doesn't fully understand the sport and physical activity workforce, because it's not easy to digest. We've got duplication of work job titles, we've got duplication of qualifications that aren't easy to streamline. You can understand some of the issues raised, because sometimes it's difficult for us to navigate, never mind someone outside our sector. And some of the things that came up behind this were also considerations of how the health sector refers to our sector. So if somebody goes for treatment, where sometimes what's come back to us is that a GP might meet with somebody and know that actually physical activity might be a really beneficial to a person rather than medication, and how do they connect someone to us. But some of the barriers that we're hitting and were being communicated is obviously with social prescribers and health navigators is understanding what qualifications an individual might have. So in the background of all this, which is very heavily connected to the plan, is professional standards and professional status. Now, professional standards, if you've not heard of them yet, it's very like the knowledge, skills and behaviours in a job description, which kind of helps support the background knowledge somebody needs to perform a job. Now I can send some of these links in the chat in a bit so you can see where they are on the website, CIMSPA's website. But professional status has come up as well. Now, another thing that's come up is that, as you know, if you're a CIPD member, and quite often the HR world know if somebody to perform a job, they should ideally be a level 5 or a level 7 individual with a CIPD professional membership. We didn't have anything like that in our sector, and it was really hard for the health sector to understand what level of qualifications someone might have. So I'm just wondering, in short, am I okay to just share one slide on, because I think it'll help me explain a little bit.
Danny, I think colleagues on the call will be really interested in this, so please do explain. And just to reiterate, that these are the key priorities from the sector which have gone into that LCIP plan, haven't they? So what we are trying to get funded. This is critical that colleagues on the call make that connection. Thank you. So please do share, Danny.
That's great. How long about? Because I can either show one slide or a few slides.
Keep going with a few.
Keep going with a few, and then you can.
Yeah,
that's great,
absolutely.
Right. Just tell me to hurry up if I start to take over. But I'll just show you some of these just so that you can have a little look.
That's helpful. Yeah.
Sorry, just jumping around. Okay, so professional status. So I will send this slide deck to you all after this meeting to Adrian, so you can have a little nosy at this in your own time. But basically, this is to support a person's qualifications, experience and commitment, adhering to the professional and ethical standards of their occupation. This is really important and connected, as I said, to the health sector, because it's important that the health sector understands our career pathways and understands how we're maintaining and attracting the talent, obviously, in our sector also, but how we're making sure they're doing the right CPD. and the continued professional development that's required for quite intricate roles within the health sector. So lots of the discussions on the boards and what was fed into us is how are we going to earn professional status? And obviously this was completing certain learning and development that's aligned to sector professional standards issued. So who's it issued by? Well, by CIMSPA as the chartered professional body. And how is it maintained? And that's by doing a number of continued professional development. So very much like the health sector, so that we can complement them as they do their own CPD, we will be doing the same. And it starts to build that kind of trust levels really between us both, that will be maintaining high levels. Now, I just wanted to show you this pathway. We've got multiple pathways in our sector, and we also know that people move very readily between pathways, and that they also go outside of our sector and come back. So it was important that we can try and capture an individual's journey, knowing that they will move between pathways, which is kind of been thought about when this has been put together. So obviously, for an example, you can have a practitioner and as a gym instructor, personal trainer, recreation assistant, advanced practitioner, so someone who is got a specialism in, say, working with children and delivering sports and physical activity sessions, whether to inactive people. Now, senior practitioners are higher professionals status, which basically means that they'll specialise at the levels that they work at, with senior levels, but aligned with professional standards. Now, the professional standards, what I was just mentioning to you before, that will be available, which are available on our CIMSPA website, which you can look at for each area of work, whether it's a personal trainer, a recreation assistant, and so on. Now, the chartered practitioner is delivering excellent outcomes for their businesses. And this isn't just always qualifications. We've got people submitting experience, CVs. It's a real thorough process that CIMSPA go through with an individual to understand where they are on this pathway and how we support them to move to the next level if they so wish. We'll have some that will want to stay where they are, but some that will want to progress on. But this is also a framework that the health sector can use to understand, again, what level somebody is at when they're engaging with us. So how will this benefit our sector? Well, the clear career progression, which we've mentioned, identifiable workforce, which is obviously what I keep repeating because it's so important, externally recognised, and this is obviously the real connection with health and what our LSABs were coming through with, and that greater trust with us and them, so that we understand each other. Greater collaboration also with other professional sectors. Other professional bodies are throughout the workforce, aren't they? We've got dietetics, we've got HR, there's so many different professional bodies, and it's important that we're seen at the same level. A more attractive sector for funding and government investment. We need to show that we're professional in our work and what we do to help secure funding, because if other sectors show that they are more professional in the work they do, it's really important that we demonstrate that too, to, you know, as opposed to be seen as just as important or as a priority rather. How does professional status...
Sorry, can I just ask then, Danny? So
yeah.
I think that a lot of people on this call will know about CIMSPA.
Okay.
But can you just advise me and advise the group in terms of the health pathways? In terms of the health pathways, have CIMSPA become the recognised body in terms of the health qualifications, the qualifications from within the sector being recognised by health in terms of that quality practice? That's where I know you were trying to get to with CIMSPA.
Yeah, that's very much a piece of work that's going on, has been going on for some time.
So obviously, that's still a live discussion at this moment in time. It's not resolved.
As far as I know, that's very far along, and the reason for this piece of work. And obviously, I'll dig into more about where they are with that update, though. But and I can ask that for you and feedback these discussions. But these discussions are very much taking place with the necessary people around a table, almost like a local skills accountability board, but obviously with the health sector, CIMSPA and other stakeholders right across from health to us, integrated care boards, you name it, are all discussing this piece of work already. So these pieces of work that have come from this are obviously very much towards LSABs and other health meetings that have health-based meetings that have been taking place with CIMSPA and healthcare professionals.
That's great. Thanks for that, Danny.
The professional standards are very much worked on in conjunction with health as well. So that's why obviously the health navigator roles and things like that have all been worked with those experts around a table to make sure that this work coincides and is streamlined and not a duplication. But yeah, any further more detailed information I can find out for you all as well. So yeah, do you want me to jump off? Do you want me to?
Yeah, I think that's fine. So if you just come off the slide deck now.
Yep.
So have any colleagues on the call, have you got any questions that you just wanted to ask Danny in terms of the local skills accountability board, the local skills plan, how this fits in with LSIP? Just be interested in your thoughts and critically as well, whether you're actually working with the CIMSPA framework at this moment in time. Thank you, Michael. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. Thanks, Adrian. Yeah, I thought a lot of that sounds really, really sensible, and I quite like what was talked about, the streamlining across qualifications, meaning things outside of our sector. And I sort of think about that in relation to, just in Lancashire, we've got, so many different deliverers of what we might call a healthwise scheme, which is exercise on referral, and we would call them a healthwise facilitator, but other people, every organisation is going to call them something slightly different. So I can see a lot of real benefit in communicating externally of having a simplified status for someone. The question I had, and apologies, this was picked up, I might have missed it. Thinking about those roles, those kind of delivery roles in exercise on referral, will existing qualifications, so we've got staff that have a level 3 general exercise on referral, we have staff that have level 4 qualifications with specialist conditions. Would those kind of like senior practitioner or chartered practitioner status apply to people that have already got those qualifications, or they have to do something different to get that?
So what'll happen is with our education and training team at the moment, we've got the National Training Academy. So I'll send you some of these notes as well. And so those qualifications that you're mentioning, you can look at the National Training Academy and you can look for those courses to see if they're already on our system and already recognised as connecting to the professional standards. If they don't, and you think, oh, they're not registered there, I can't see the awarding body, I don't know where, we've got an education and training team specific to that piece of work. So they look at qualifications that are submitted by an individual. So what happens at the moment, as somebody applies for professional status, they upload their CV and they'll upload their qualifications and they'll fill in an assessment questionnaire almost. And that'll basically help CIMSPA decide where that individual is in terms of where they should be on that pathway. In terms of that exact qualification, they'll know they've got a whole list of approved qualifications endorsed, and if it's not endorsed, they'll look into the content of it to see if it maps towards the professional standards. So there's not a one size fits all, unfortunately, with it all, because everybody will be so different with some of the quals that have been provided so far. But if anybody's got any queries on anything like that and you're unsure, please message me. I'll put my email in here and I'll forward you through to the education and training team, and they'll help look into any particular course. If there's one particularly you're thinking of, message it across and I'll send it across to them to look into for you. I'll just put my email in here.
That's great. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you. But as you say, Danny, the direction of travel nationally that CIMSPA is leading on is to kind of harmonise existing skills and capabilities, expertise with the NHS levels and frameworks, so that you're getting that direct read across, and those are acceptable and recognised by NHS colleagues. And you know, that's something that we'd really like to see happen in Lancashire to support the pivot and the active wellbeing work. So really excited if we can get some of that funded out of LSIP. That's what we're trying to get to ultimately, so that the funding's there to enable that to happen.
I think so, and I think Nuffield Health are doing a massive piece on this as well at the moment, pushing their employees through obviously the process, so that it's starting to become much more common that we, you know, what certain levels individuals are at and everything. So there's a very big piece of work taking place, and it's just important we connect everyone. That's the thing, so everyone's in the know.
Yeah, thanks. Michael, did you want to come in on that?
No, well, I did put my hand up, then I put it down again. So I was just hadn't fully finished what I was sort of thinking about, but just more thinking around commissioning and funding applications as well. If it becomes a bit easier, doesn't it, to then say, you know, whatever scheme is being proposed must have X number of people capable of delivering at a certain level. Yeah, so that's why I put my hand down, because I sort of thought I knew what I was going to say, and then I realised I didn't.
It is about professionalising the sector in the eyes of health, really. You know, that's a major push that we're doing. And a lot of that, as I hope you understand from Danny's briefing, is not necessarily about new qualifications, but it's being recognised for previous learning and previous experience as well. That's a major push on this. Now, Danny, we're going to do some further work around the boot camps, aren't we, as well? The LSIP boot camps. Did you want to just talk about that very, very briefly? Because that's going to provide an opportunity to get into this, isn't it? Just explain what they are in the background.
Yeah, so basically, the skills boot camps are a piece of work that we'd ideally love the areas to take advantage of, because it's a great way to engage individuals and put them through a skills boot camp to help basically provide basic training to get somebody into the sector. And when I say basic training, some of them are quite advanced, you know, not basic. So but there's lots of different skills boot camps, and there's some about sustainability, there's some about there's so many different areas of work. There's some about leadership and management, isn't there, Adrian? The list is endless in different areas. But there's a lot of funding secured to support organisations to produce skills boot camps, and we've got colleges that are taking advantage of the offer of that and putting on skills boot camps to help encourage people into our sector. So when we talk about what a skills boot camp should be, well, the great thing is that we'll be doing our next wave of looking into what skills needs are in the area. So my next 6 months will be heavily speaking to employers to find out what the skills needs are. So in terms of the data that CIMSPA and I, you know, myself will be pushing for, will help feed what those skills boot camps could potentially be focused towards. So to make sure that somebody going through a skills boot camp comes out with the right outcome. I think what sometimes is just because everybody's work streams are so large, it sometimes don't always have the time to commit. But that's why sometimes colleges are really well placed, because they're obviously already in an education facility. They already know usually have that resource to put courses together. So it's just really to highlight that the skills boot camps are around and a consideration for delivery, really.
So let's add a little bit more depth to that. So the Lancashire Skills Plan, which is administered by the Lancashire Skills and Employment team based within the Lancashire Combined Authority. They've secured funding from national government, and they're also going to have the Lancashire Adult Skills funding under their control from next September, so they're starting to make plans there as well. Danny's analysis of need, which she's been leading on, which has produced the local skills plan. That will be continued to be refined through the conversations that Danny's having with employers about their skills need requirements going forward. Then there are submissions with that data, that expression of need, which go into the Lancashire Skills Hub to get some of that bootcamp money. And then they commission, for example, specialist providers and or colleges to actually deliver that training. Some of it can be about things like, as you described, Danny, it can be about management skills, couldn't it? But I believe, is the minimum level a level 3 or is it a level 4? I can't remember. Just talk me through that.
It was level 3.
It's level 3.
Might need to I'll double check it, but I think it was level 3.
I think so. So we're not talking about basic swim instructors here, but we're talking about people who are progressing in their career, and that extra investment will allow them to step forward. So it's perfect for existing members of staff to develop their expertise to support the delivery in that health environment or something like employment skills, if that makes sense. But we do need the evidence from employers about that need, and that needs to come through Danny, because you're pulling that plan together, aren't you, Danny? And you'll continue to pull that plan together.
Yeah, so basically that my email's there. So when the next workforce skills survey will be ready very soon, and that will be very much me coming out to employers to fill in a survey together. So I'll hopefully speak to Adrian and see if share my details, and if anybody's willing to do a survey with me to collect data on the workforce, please get in touch, because I'll be doing it in all 5 areas, but it'll be really interesting to get a Northwest result as well when I collate the data for Northwest, not just, and the different employers that I meet with are small, medium, large size organisations, you name it. So it'll be widespread. They
don't need to be local authorities or leisure trusts. They could be, in fact, clubs. Anybody who's an employer. That's correct, isn't it, Danny?
Exactly. And the greater the mix, the better. You know. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Thank you.
I think the question is sort of related to what you're just talking about, Danny, about. I'm aware that on this wider group we've got local trusts, then we've got bigger national operators or regional operators. What's the best way for a bigger organisation? Obviously we operate quite locally, but part of a bigger national chain. What's the best way for us to engage with this? Obviously we don't have human resources teams locally. We'd have a central resource who might work on some of this. How can we feed into it?
Yeah, so basically, we still, even the national organisations, we still complete the data locally. So, for example, GLL or Nuffield or any, the large, we go right to the actual the gym that's in the area. So, for example, if you looked at Nuffield Health at Capital Centre in Preston, we would go straight to that site, and the data would be relevant to that site in that area. Somewhere else. So it's not filled in at a headquarter level, it's filled in locally. The reason for that is because obviously all different sites and the data needs to be captured locally for data reasons, in that it's employers based in Lancashire. That's why it's so key that we get Lancashire data.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, that's really helpful. Okay, so Danny, the plan will be released at the end of the month. Colleagues will be able to see the full depth to that with the initial assumptions around evidence of need. Then there's the opportunity to feed in on an ongoing basis individual organisations' needs, and then we'll be able to work with them to understand whether there are opportunities to partner up with other stakeholders to be able to do that undertake that existing development need, or if there's new provision or there's enough provision that's required across Lancashire, then we'd look to make a boot camp application. And I understand that we've got one round that's live at the moment, haven't we, for boot camps?
It'll be very much up to the local skills accountability board and how they approach it, because it'll be because obviously the colleges in it, and but when I say that it's up to them, it'll be how they decide to move forward with the project. But it doesn't have to just be the local skills accountability board. It can be anybody can put the skills bootcamp together, you know, with the right criteria. But it'll be very much over then to the board to decide who to move that forward and how to progress it. But we did put in a very broad application in the early days, because I think we very much wanted to be considered. But yeah, I think it's understanding what some of the limitations are, isn't it, as well? I think there were some hurdles within it to overcome and things. So I think and each area is different as well. The skills bootcamp. So yeah.
So we're going to progress that bootcamp application. So again, it'd be really helpful if colleagues on the call, perhaps if they've got an interest, they wanted to work with us on that. And I think we can do a shout. I'll speak to Beth Kay, who's leading from our team, to do a bit of a shout out around that. Okay. So colleagues, any further additional questions to Danny about the work of CIMSPA and the local skills plan and skills accountability board? No, that's great. All right, Danny, thanks for coming today and introducing yourself and introducing the work of the board and the plan, and really look forward to that being released. And I hope people now know who you are. When that link comes across from yourself about that needs analysis, you know, they'll be more inclined to engage with it and actually submit you know, an overview of where they see their organisational needs and make that connection with you. So that would be really good. Thank you. Okay, colleagues. Has anybody else got anything they wanted to share? We've got 10 minutes left. No, I just wanted to advise you that we have got approval as Active Lancashire to develop our LGR Devo consultation piece of work that was agreed at our board at the end of last month. So I am going to work with colleagues, and Alex O'Toole's on from Arts Lancashire. We're going to still continue to look at whether we can undertake that LGR devolution consultation with executive leaders and chief executives at a cultural level rather than just at a sport and physical activity level. So that's something which I hope to be able to progress over the next coming weeks, and I will be able to send a network update around that shortly. But just to let you know that it's live. And Laura, I do need to touch base with you as Blackpool specifically, because I've touched base with Blackburn, they're supported, and I know Lancashire are as well, so that's good. Right, so colleagues, thanks for your time today. Danny, thank you for circulating that information. Look forward to the final version, but you know, really good progress, and I hope people continue to make a connection with your work and CIMSPA. So thanks very much. Okay, colleagues, thank you. Bye now. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.